So first item we're going to be talking about is this.
Cool. So what is this? How does this work?
So this is called an instrumented mouthguard. So essentially this is very much similar to what a mouthguard that a rugby player would wear anyway, but it just means it has some form of technology in it. That's what instrumented means. Essentially all it is an accelerometer with inside it, and you can see that there just on the side. It basically detects any acceleration of the person or of the mouthguard when they're wearing it in any direction, and what we try and use it for is to then try and extrapolate what accelerations happen during collisions.
Is the aim to have mostly injury prevention, or is there a performance gain element of this as well?
So I think eventually there will be a performance side to this. And everything that we do is technically in those two brackets, right? So we have data to look at injury and try and keep our players available for as long as possible. But then we also have like a performance side to that, where we try and use the information data we get to improve the quality of our rugby players and their rugby performance. This right now is pretty heavily set in the medical availability side. So what we want to do is try and basically use this information to improve the welfare and health of rugby players. If we can try and understand better the accelerations and collisions and what that means to a player's physiology, we can then change the way that we train to try and best improve the quality or the health of players. That's what we really want to use it for right now.
You're always looking at the best way to capture the data. And I think what's really ingenious about it is that you're capturing the data with something that they're already wearing.
Exactly.
So it's not something that you're asking them to do that's different, which is the most efficient way of getting powerful data out.
Yeah,
that you can
100%.
I guess I see some parallels there between when we're implementing our system for new customers and they're going to use the system for the first time. There's a whole lot of extra data that they can capture that they're not used to capturing in the past. And that sometimes comes with that extra effort to put the data in, and maybe there's some barriers and maybe there's some resistance to the change. So that culture of changing things so that you can actually capture the data that then turns into something meaningful at the end, we see the same challenges when we're implementing the product ourselves.
The players just need to see that change first and see that actually it does help and we're doing something good with it, then they're more likely to just go, oh, you know what, I'll give it a go. Why not?
And then you've got the data and you've got the information, and then you're preventing injuries in the long term, which is where you want to get to.
100%.
So one of the bits of technology we also use to track performance in the players is GPS units. These are commonplace across every professional sport now, a lot of semi-professional sports. These help us accurately track, monitor, report on all sorts of on-pitch movements from the players, from running distances, running speeds, any acceleration, deceleration events. And from this we can identify weaknesses, strengths of players. We can show the coaches what is happening in our training sessions, when is it happening, and that applies to the match as well.
Does everyone wear this every time they train and every time they play?
Every time they train, every time they put boots on, every time they're on the pitch, we go GPS on. We'll also track that with heart rate as well. That's a nice tangent line where we get objective data of what they have done. So we call it external load, and then we can marry it up with their heart rate, which is internal load. So what does it cost them?
So it's interesting. I think deciding what's important and deciding how you're going to present that information to the right person is crucial, isn't
Absolutely, yeah. Find out what's important to what it is that you're working with, and make sure that is easily digestible and understood.
Yeah, we find that a lot. It's about how can we take that information, our customers see this when they're using Xledger, and how can we take that information and present it in a way that's as simple as possible to the users who are going to see it. The finance people can understand it in depth, but if they can't present it and tell the story in a meaningful way, then doesn't turn into actionable.
Yeah, absolutely. Telling the story to get your point across is key, and that's how you can really help drive performance. So a further bit of kit that we use is the Force platforms here from Valve Performance. They kit us out with all our strength diagnostic kit. What we'd use that for here in the testing rack is to identify some strengths and weaknesses from individual players in certain positions and certain movements. So we could get a player standing on here, get them into a squat position, a single leg squat position, and have them push against an immovable bar for a certain period of time, and we can get all sorts of metrics off the back of that: force, time to force, force at time, and various other force time metrics. This is going to give the athletic performance coaches a really good steer on their strength and conditioning programs. Where is a certain player heading? Do we need to modify their programming to potentially a different direction? Do we need more power characteristics from this player? Do we need more strength characteristics from this player? And so forth. Another great thing that we can do with these is we can do some jump testing. Obviously we wouldn't do it in the rack, we would do it in open space, and from there we can test some counter movement jumps, we can test some reactive jumps, and again gather a load more of these force time metrics from players and identify their strengths.
And you get a live output, live reading when they're doing this, right?
Yeah, so this is a real good tool to drive intent. We can get them on the force plates here, and it's all well and good that we stand here and we shout at them, you know, come on, come on, come on. But if they can actually see their force trace there on the TV, whilst they're pushing, they just know you can get that little bit extra out there, you can see where you're going, you're not tailing off, and it's amazing. You see the red faces come out and they've really pushed hard when they're in there. And
do you take that data then somewhere else, or do you use it just like this?
Yeah, so the data will you know, once we've saved every test, it will get stored into a database, and then we'll utilize our own in-house systems to display the information, and that gets shared around the performance staff and the medical staff and any necessary person that has it. And that's the real easy period where we can then track players individually on progress from weeks, months, years if they're in the system, and even, you know, careers if they stay with us from academy through to full-time athletes.
Thanks so much for having us visit. It's fantastic to come and see the place and see the tools that you're working with. And it's fascinating for me to see the similarities in a way between the tech that you're using and how we work with our tech at Xledger.
That's great. It's been great to have you. Thank you very much for coming.